Storms mean waves. There's the trade-off. Check, check. So I'm a little bit beat up still. I'll do my best to go through some of these poses, but if you see me kind of modify or do some different things, it's my calf and my knee are still messed up. I got a couple infections in my fingers, so I'm a little banged up right this moment. But you know, I'll get through. But if you see me do something that looks a little different than maybe I normally do it, that's why. Oh, what's this? Is there anything you want to do today? Any postures, body parts you want to mess with? No requests? What is it? Middle back? Okay. What the fuck? I don't know what I did. Middle back. Okay. That'll be like thoracic. I don't know what I did. Bless you. Bless you. So think of like that middle back and that upper back is where you're going to hear me say close shutters. So here's your shutters, right? The bottom of your ribs, the shutters want to blow open. You're going to close them, right? So your ribs are going to do two different things. They're going to come in and then they're going to go down, right? So two different actions. And you should feel the top of your abs start to ignite. But what that does to your spine is that's where you get this, like, you feel like you get this lift right here, right? As compared to this wants to happen, right? We want to go this way. And see how all this lifts? Now I get that space that I can move into. We tend to be like pretty weak in our thoracic spines, right? Like generally, because we're forced into this position, right? So when that happens, then a couple different muscles try to compensate. We do the neck all the time in the morning. Sternocleidomastoids, the muscle that hangs on when your head does this. So it's working its ass off, right, all day, and we need to be this way. Throat back is what you hear in yoga, right? Because we don't want to just be head back, because that could turn into this. We want all this to come back. And when you do that, you should feel like it is a shit ton of work in your upper back. A lot, because where's your upper back want to go? Right? So we need to be way up here. So take a couple breaths. Sit up nice and tall. Feel the outsides of your feet root. Feel your sit bones root. This is going to be below your waist. All right, so here we want to root down. So what are we going to do above our waist? We're going to breathe up. Let's take a couple breaths here. Yep, lean back a touch, and you'll start to feel the muscles running up your spine kick on. We want that. Let the head and the throat slide back. Maybe close the eyes. Now, to me, when we close our eyes, and you know, it means a couple of different things in yoga, but you know, I tend to teach from more of a physical side, right, of the practice. So the first thing that I feel is when I close my eyes is my body really starts to work. It starts to balance itself. My core kicks on. This is why I do a lot of one-legged stuff with y'all. This is why I sometimes offer that, like, we'll close your eyes when we're in our balance. because you're doing proprioception. You're making your body have to read its external environment and straighten. And you feel that. For everything. It's quick though. It's like electricity, right? Super fast. If you're falling to the right, it says push down, go back left. If you're falling to the left, push down, go back right. Now turn to the breath a little bit more. You can listen to yourself breathe. You can slow down the beginning of the inhale and push a little more on the end of the exhale. You can count out the breath. So it'll be 2 or 3 seconds for the inhale. Make the exhale 2 or 3 seconds. The same 2 or 3 seconds. Maybe find Ujjayi breath. Let the air rebound off the back of the throat. Sit up tall again. Feel if any of those muscles turned off. Feel the shoulders settle back just a little bit. We're not trying to pinch our shoulder blades back, but we're not trying to let them fall forward. See if you could hold that space again. Take another breath. As you root down, breathe up. Feel the side bodies start to get long, so from hips to armpit. Feel the core igniting a little more to hold you up. Multifidus, your core spine that runs up your core muscle runs up your spine. So you're feeling that starting to work. Your core muscles are deep, right? They're all the way in. Transverse abdominis, internal obliques. That's belly. Then on the inhale, let the arms lift. And let the exhale bring the fingertips and the knuckle pads to root as the heels of the hands lightly touch. And the breath now goes to that space between our palms. And one time together to initiate our practice. Together, the sound of Om. All together, deep breath in. So we softly bow our head to our hearts, our heads to each other's hearts. Inhale, lift the head, open the eyes, release the hands. How much work is it to just hold this position still? A ton, right? Where's your body want to go? And there's where the game begins, right? So spin around, let's go child's pose. The cues that we give you in yoga, right, are never what goes right. Right? We always cue you what goes wrong, right? Those are the things we're going to keep from happening. Which is why, I know in my class, you hear me say belly and shudders 50 times in a class, right? I hope that moves through all the classes because that's the idea. How do you connect to those areas that want to turn off? Our body, remember, our body is lazy, right? Our body wants to do nothing. Our mind wants to do everything. So we use our heart to find the balance. And that's why yoga brings them together, right? To find the balance. So start here, hug the hands in, lift the forearms up, lift the inner biceps up, slide your forehead off the mat. So this is a little more active child's pose. Now, soften your chest towards the mat. And you feel a stretch come up the arms. You feel it come up those side bodies. You feel it in the chest here. In the upper back, you're going to feel a stretch here through the lats a little, but up the spine, you're going to feel a ton of work happening. And that's what we want. Think like between your shoulder blades, north to south. And then as you look forward, walk your hands towards the right side of the mat. Root down into that left sit bone, and then start to breathe up that left side. And you could see on me, my lumbar spine, my low back, it's not really doing any kind of side bending or twisting, right? It's just looking to get a little decompression, and the big movements are going to happen in my upper back, my thoracic spine. Inhale, come back to center, soften down the middle. When you're ready, walk your hands towards the left. That's going to be the case in all of the poses. Really, you're trying to get your core to ignite so that your lumbar spine can get a little decompression, a little lift. You're then feeling that come up the spine to get more space. And then when you eventually get the space, you move into it. Twist, fold, bend, reach, whatever it might be. Inhale, come back to center, soften down the middle. Next inhale, come up, all fours, hands and knees. Hands an inch or two in front of your shoulders, knees an inch or two behind your hips. Pointer fingers are straight forward or turned out a little bit. Fingers are spread. Spread your fingers evenly. Pull your belly in. Pull your shutters close. So see where I'm at here? This is what wants to happen. Here's the misalignment. I need to be this way. Now, this is too much. Right? Just like this isn't enough. Find where the sweet spot is. Now hug in. So you're hugging the forearms in. You're squeezing those biceps. You're sweeping the heels out. You're hugging those shins in. Pull the pelvic floor up. Pull that all the way up from root chakra to crown. And as you reach, like sit bones back, reach the crown of your head forward. And when you're ready, work your cat-cow. Inhale, arch the back. Lift the sit bones. Reach through the crown of the head. Exhale, round the back. Look to your belly. Lengthen your sit bones towards your heels. Your inhale, arch. Your exhale, round. And now just move with your breath. So if it was 2 seconds to inhale, how long is it going to take to arch our back? 2 seconds to exhale. How long is it going to take to round our back? To get to that thoracic spine, you're going to look to your belly a little bit deeper. To get to your lumbar spine, I'm going to lengthen sit bones to the backs of my knees. And that's how I get this to open up. When I look this way, I get this to open up. One more, and we'll come to a neutral position. So find that flat back. Then take the knees back a couple inches, come to puppy dog. So my hips are stacked up on top of my knees. So now I'm bearing a little more weight here, right, in my arms. But keep pushing the hands like down and forward. And as the hips go back, you start to get the weight into the legs. Then TP the fingers on the right hand, thread the left hand underneath with the palm up. Here's that twist. Where's that twist happening? Thoracic spine, right? Weighing that like middle upper back. So keep pushing down into your left knee and keeping that knee firing up into the hip so the hip doesn't collapse because that's below the waist, right? We want to be above. And then inhale, come back to center, soften down the middle. When you're ready, TP the fingers on the left hand, thread the right hand underneath. Maybe I even take my left elbow up towards the sky. That makes more space for me to twist under. Now keep pushing down into that right knee. Make sure the hips aren't coming to the right. And then breathe forward out of your waist. And then try to twist even a little bit deeper. Next inhale, come back to center. Soften down the middle. See, this wants to happen. This is no shudders. Watch what happens when I do shudders. That's where we want to be. Next inhale, come up, all fours, hands and knees. And that shit's harder than it looks, right? Like I talk about shudders all day. It's a challenge to pull that part of your ab down, for sure. Take a breath here, step back to plank, and then make your way back, downward dog. Now, first downward dog, we could bend the knees. And as we hug the hands in, we squeeze the forearms into the midline. We fire up those biceps. We keep the arms lifting up, especially the inner biceps. If they fall, they're going to pinch, like your shoulders are going to pinch your ears. We don't want that. We want to be lifting them up so that we get broad in the upper back and in the chest. Now keep pushing your hands down and forward so your chest goes back to your toenails. Pull your belly button to your spine. Now maybe start to pedal your heels. So your right heel goes down, and then inhale it up, exhale the left down, or whatever your side 2 is. Inhale it up, exhale down into that side 1, and just keep working. Now watch the knees maybe. Keep them tracking in line with the ankle, the knee, and the hip. Instead of like this, where they want to blow out the side, right? Start tracking them in their neutral position. If you started with the right, finish with the left. Come to a neutral position. Next inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, back to downward dog. Inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, back to downward dog. Let's do 5. Now, go slow. Work with your breath. Slow means staying with your breath. So if 2 or 3 seconds it takes to inhale, that's how long it's going to take to come forward to plank. 2 or 3 seconds for your exhale, how long it's going to take to push back to downward dog. Now, this is my last one here, 5th. As you come forward, let the exhale lower, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, baby cobra. Take those 3 breaths. So you can stay low here, right, and really work that upper back and those shoulders, or you challenge it by coming up a little bit higher. After your 3 breaths, lower the chest, push up through plank, and back to downward dog. Feels good when you work that upper back, right? Between those shoulder blades, think north to south, so from your head to your butt. You want to straighten the legs. You're going to pull your heels to your butt to your heels. Then as your hands push down and forward and the chest comes back to the toenails, you engage those legs and you reach from the hips down the back of the legs and at the bottom of the heels. And then inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, lower, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, baby cobra. Take those 3 breaths. After your 3 breaths, back to chaturanga or lower your chest. Push up through plank. Back to downward dog. Look forward, bend your knees, step or jump between your hands, swing your arms up, take a big reach. Exhale, hands by the side. Inhale, take them up. Exhale by your side. One more. This time as they come up, Tadasana here, right? Everything's fired up. Right hand grabs that left wrist. Take that little side bend to the right. Root from hip to heel, but peel from hip up. Do the intercostal muscles of those ribs, right, between your ribs. Lat you're feeling here. Now take the head and the throat back, and then take the arms back. Yep. Inhale, come up. Exhale, hands by your side. Inhale them up. Swap. So left grabs right. We root down into the right heel. We peel up above, and then we take the side bend. The peel is where we make the space. When we make the space, we move into it. And then belly in, shutters closed, head and throat back, arms back. Inhale, come up. Exhale, hands by the side. Inhale them up. Pull the belly to the spine. Lengthen the sit bones down. Now maybe curl back. There's that upper back again. Feel that peel come up off the pubic bone. So do your belly, do your chest, your neck, up your arms. Inhale, come up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, place the hands, step the right leg back, lunge. So high on those fingertips or those blocks, make that space for yourself. All for the spine, right? We're working real hard to get our spine to do this today, and it wants to do this. So we surely don't want to reinforce this, right? In yoga, we want to get to this. Now, if you feel like you could hold that space, right, move the blocks down a little bit and see if you could work it. If this takes over, then we come back up to the blocks. But if you feel like you could hold this space, go for it. Now keep pushing down, keep hugging in. So you're pulling the front heel back, the back toes forward. You're hugging the shins into the midline. And when you're ready, inhale, come up, Virabhadrasana, one crescent. Strong in the legs. Square that right hip forward. Pull that pelvic floor up. Pull that belly button in. Pull those shutters closed. That's when you get the lift. Now maybe curl back into the pose. One more breath. Exhale the hands down, step forward. Keep the knees bent, reach the left leg back. Lunge. So I'm going to start with my blocks. That feels pretty good for me today. But at any moment when I move my hands, I go nowhere, right? They're not bearing weight. They're just giving connection, right? They're letting my mind say, okay, he's pretty comfortable here, so he could be in this big split, right? Then he could even reach his heel back if he wants to, and his knee forward and out of the crown of the head because he's safe, right? If I'm not safe, my body's not going to open this way. Now I want to challenge a little bit. Okay. I feel like I could hold that space. I'm going to go for it. Keep pushing down, keep hugging in, and when you're ready, inhale, come up, Virabhadrasana, one crescent. You hear me talk about that edge all the time, right? You got to find what your edge is. Your edge and my edge are going to be different, right? Just like all of us are going to be different, but we're all going to be the same at the same time. Square it up. When you go up, maybe curl back. One more breath. Exhale the hands down, step forward. Swing the arms up, big reach. Maybe curl back into it a little bit. Inhale, come up, take that right hand behind your back, left hand to your elbow. What wants to happen here? We got to go this way. So I put that little crease in my hip. Pull the belly and the shutters closed. Push your head back into your forearm. Now I could work my spine. I could stand up taller. And then if you want to draw the fingers up, draw the fingers up. Exhale, release. Inhale the arms up. Swap side two. Legs are fiery. Yep, Tadasana. So we're in mountain pose. So lots of muscle energy in this pose. It's just we're doing a variation with the shoulder opener. Push the head back into the forearm and use that to stand up tall. Yep. Exhale, release. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look forward. Half fold. So you feel the work now in the upper back? That's where we've been all morning. So now if you drag your fingers back to your toes, you're going to feel like it pulls your spine out of your waist. You want that. Now, with all that space, go ahead and move into it. We just don't want that rounding back to dominate the pose. We want that to be last. So keep feeling the pose goes deeper by closing your hip crease, right? You're flexing your hip as you fold, as compared to rounding your upper back like this. So I want to keep looking out in front of me. One more breath. And then from here, bend the knees, place the hands, step or jump back, downward dog. Move through your vinyasa one time. In downward dog, it feels good to keep the knees bent. Keep the knees bent. It feels good to straighten the legs. Straighten the legs. Reach the right leg straight back. Step it through. Lunge. Spin that back heel. Come up, warrior two. Reach through that back hand just a little bit, because we tend to do this, right? So we just reach back a little bit. Keep rooting that thigh back because it tends to pop forward. Now we're opening the inside of this right thigh, so that's probably why this feels like a challenge. The knee's trying to fall in this way. So you're going to keep going sit bone to heel or sweep your heel so the knee widens out. Yep, take the palm up. Come back into that reverse warrior. Keep going up and back. Yeah, let that front knee stay on top of the ankle, so if it moves back on you, just bend back into it. Maybe look up to the fingers. Inhale, come back up to that warrior two. Bring the elbow to the thigh. Sweep the bicep up along the cheek. Extended side angle. If you want to go hand down to the block or the floor, feel free. Belly's in, shutters closed. Now rotate the spine. So take the top of the ribs back and the bottom of the ribs forward. One more breath. Exhale the hands down to the floor. Spin that back heel up. Downward dog. Move through one vinyasa. Nice, y'all. Nice poses. Take your time. Stay with your breath. From downward dog, reach the left leg straight back. Step it through. Lunge. Spin the back heel. Inhale, come up. Warrior two. So I'm on the balance beam, right? Means my front heel's in line with my back arch. At front knee, I'm trying to get on top of the ankle and in line with my second toe, the one next to my big toe. Where does it want to go? In, right? So I'm going to widen it out. Then bring your gaze right over your middle finger, because that's all the chill there is in this pose. Then the palm comes up. We slowly come back into that reverse warrior. Because the slower we go, the more we're going to be able to hold on to the legs, to the foundation, right? Now we can play with the extension. Maybe look up, maybe curl back even a little bit deeper. One more breath. And then inhale, come back up to that warrior two. The elbow goes to the thigh. We sweep the bicep up along the cheek. Yeah, nice pace, y'all. It's easy to rush here. Stay with your breath. Our breath came up. It's a little faster, right? Because our heart rate came up. We're linking poses. The hand's going to go down to the block or the floor. Feel free. If you're going to rotate open, top of the ribs back, bottom of the ribs forward, maybe look up right into your bicep. One more breath. Inhale, unwind. Nice, y'all. Spin the back heel up. Step back, downward dog. Move through one vinyasa. And then from downward dog, exhale, lower your knees. Sit back on your heels, just give yourself a little break. Grab a little drink. Child's pose if you want. All right, inhale, come up, exhale, hands down, all fours. Turn the hands out. Keep pushing down. Pull the belly in, pull the shutters closed. Feel how the belly button wants to fall to the mat, don't let it. Feel that lumbar spine start to fill in. Push down. Yeah, reach that crown of the head forward. And the more you push down, the more you get that nice stretch coming up the forearms and the biceps and into the chest a little bit. And then inhale, unwind, sit back on your heels. Just give that little spin. Inhale, come up, exhale, hands down, all fours. Turn the hands out again. If you want to bring your pinkies to touch, you could bring your pinkies to touch. If you want to step back to plank, you can step back to plank. We work that upper back a lot. And that's one of the crucial elements in Mayurasana, the arm balance. So the idea, I usually show you with the bent knees. So you take your knees wide, like child's pose, and you bring your toes to touch. Then I'm going to go forward, and I'm going to bring my elbows into my belly, or like to the bottom of my ribs. And I'm going to keep looking forward. There's the work in my upper back as my legs come up. Right? See where the work happened? My upper back. So keep looking forward as you come into this. Sometimes we come from plank, right? This one makes it a little more accessible. You need to have your hips in front of your knees. So see, if I'm like this and my hips are behind my knees, I'm not going to go up. I got to go this way. See my hips going in front of my knees? Now when my hips go in front of my knees, I can start to come up. Ugh. And then inhale, unwind. We'll meet all fours. Step back to plank. And downward dog. And work through one vinyasa. Keep pushing back towards downward dog. Yep. Inhale, come forward to plank. So my shoulders are on top of my wrist crease. I'm reaching out of my heels. My chest is reaching forward, so my upper back doesn't round. I'm trying to get it to neutral. Keep breathing. Now push back, downward dog. I feel that work happening between those shoulder blades. Keep sliding the throat forward so that the head doesn't hang to the midline. Inhale, come forward to plank. Keep those hips up. Don't let those hips sag. Pull those bellies in. Pull those shutters closed. Yeah, keep breathing. Push back, downward dog. Feel that connection deepening in the upper back. The more you push your hands down and forward, the more you take the weight into the legs, the easier it gets. Inhale, come forward to plank. Nice, shorties look awesome. Keep breathing, we got about 5 seconds left. And then from here, slowly lower to your bellies. So you can lower your knees, right? You can lower chaturanga. Take your right hand underneath your chest. Bend your left knee, reach back with your left hand, grab your ankle, your foot, or your strap. Now I want to hug this way first. I want to adduct, hug to the midline. I'm going to go belly button to spine, pubic bone to the mat, like I'm pushing my junk into the mat. Now I'm going to start to draw that heel to the sit bone. If you pull the heel to the sit bone first, you're going to pull your belly button to the floor. You need to go belly button to the spine first, neutral pelvis. Then you could draw the heel to the sit bone. If you want to stay up like this in the prep, awesome. If you're still feeling this in your lumbar spine, like I do a little bit, I lower my forehead to my forearm like this. Now I'm in neutral spine. It's going to be a little bit easier for me to hold that space. Before I pull my heel to my sit bone, I go belly to spine, pubic bone to the mat, or sit bones to the backs of my knees, however I want to think of my pelvis. Then I can draw the heel a little bit further. Watch the Boeing as you release. Swap side two. The action of your arm in this is the same action like in Cobra. I'm dragging this way. And when I pull this way, see how it pulls me this way? That's how I keep my low back safe as well. So hug in first, belly to spine, pubic bone to the mat, heel to the sit bone. Yep, like the outside of your sit bone there you go for. But don't lose that adduction. That's hugging to the midline. Don't lose that belly button to spine, top of the pelvis. Don't lose that pubic bone to the mat, bottom of the pelvis. And then keep working the depth of the stretch, the more that the heel comes towards the sit bone. One more breath. Watch the Boeing as you release. Interlace your hands behind your back. Before you pull your shoulders back, just take a nice breath here. Fill the ribs up. Yep, now take the shoulders back. Charge the legs, so we're tacking the toenails down. We're sweeping the inner heels out. We're hugging the shins in. We're pulling our knees to our waist. The bellies to the spine, the pubic bones to the mat. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Stay with the legs. Inhale, lift. Stay with the neutral pelvis. Exhale, lower. Go forward and up as you come. One more. Exhale, lower. This time as you lift, hold. Take 3 breaths. Not as big as a breath here, right? In a back bend. A little harder to breathe. And then when you're ready, exhale, release. Take your hands underneath your head. Turn your head to one side. You could do butt wiggles like this, or you could even bend your knees and do like a reverse windshield wiper. Whatever feels good. Then come to neutral. Inhale the head back to center. Let's do it again. Bend the knee. Interlace your hands behind your back. If your left pinky was under, right pinky goes under this time. It'll be the uncomfortable way. Charge the legs, back bends. You always hear me say 90% legs, 10% back bend, right? So you got to fire up those legs. When you're ready, lift the chest. Exhale, lower. Inhale, come up. Exhale, lower. Let's do the 5. Stay with your breath. Now this is my 4th. On my 5th, I'm going to hold for the 3 breaths. So when you come up on your 5th one, take those 3 breaths. And then after your 3 breaths, release the hands, If the left hand was on top, right gets a turn, turn your head to the other side. And then you could do those little butt wiggles or the reverse windshield wipers, whatever feels good. Then come to neutral. Bring your head back to center. Bring your thumbs like nipple line. And then from here, just push back through your knees. We're going to go all the way back to squat pose. Now, if you need a little more lift, roll up the blanket so that your heels will be on the blanket. Keep hugging in. Yep, now push your elbows away to stretch. We got to engage muscles before we stretch them, right? So we hug in, then we push away. Then drive your elbows down towards your knees, and you feel your spine come back up. Yeah. Now you can stay here, opening up the inside of the thighs, working that spine. If you want to work your crow, you're going to lift your hips and you're going to place your hands down, just like downward dog. See, my hips are high when I start out here. Now, I'm going to put my knees, I'm going to leave them on the outside of my arms because I like to do crow with a little more muscle energy. But you could also stack them up. See how I move my knees in a little bit and I stack them on the back of my arms. That's going to give me a stronger foundation. The other one's going to require me to work harder muscularly. Now I walk my feet to the midline so that my big toe mounds touch. Then I look forward. And as I look forward, the weight starts going forward. And then my feet are going to get light. When my feet get light, they're going to come up off the floor. I'm going to pull my heels to my butt. And there's my crow. Nice, y'all. Yeah, keep looking forward. You got to bring more weight forward, right, to get what's in the back up. The big movers, they're called prime movers, right? They're the big muscles. They're all legs and hips. So you're going to have to get a lot of that to go forward because there's not much up here, right? How much weight is up here compared to what's down here? On everybody, right? There's not the same. So the balance can't be equal, right? You got to overbalance and go forward a little more. All right, let's meet seated. Let's do it. Let's go fire log. So we're going to set ourselves up here. And the idea is that you're trying to get your shins parallel with the front of the mat. So what would be more accessible? If I was back this way a little bit, right, would be a little more accessible. You don't really want to go beyond parallel, right? You're there if you're parallel. But this would certainly help. Now, what's going to happen to my ankle here? It's going to try to sickle like this. And that's not going to be good for my knee. So I got to push out of the big toe mound and pull the pinky toe side of the foot back. Now, to make this a little more accessible, I'm going to bring my foot just below my knee. So it's like high on my shin. Otherwise, I'd be trying to stack my foot here. See, I'm like low on it. It's just a little bit too high for me. So this makes it a little bit more accessible. So find where your sweet spot is. Sit up nice and tall. Root the sit bones down. Then breathe up. Yep. And then if you want to go to that little fold, that little hinge forward here. Yep. And you see this pose, it's like, it can be challenging, but at the same time, it can be very accessible, right? You just got to set it up to what the moment's asking you. Inhale, come up, unwind the legs. And then see, I just work right below my knee because that'll be a little more accessible. Certainly with my injury, I don't want to challenge that right now, right, in any kind of negative way. See how I could fit my hand underneath my ankle? As compared to if my foot is sickled, there's no way for me to get my hand there. So I push out of the big toe mound, pull the pinky toe side back, and there's that little space. Tadasana is what I'm trying to get, right? Just neutral ankle. And then we sit up nice and tall. Stay active here. And then maybe hinge forward that little bit. Back of the hip here, right? Down the back of the leg.
but let the chest come first. What wants to come first? Your chin. Don't let it throw back. Yeah, chest forward. So opposing forces. That's a shit ton of work just by itself, right? Inhale, come up. Unwind the legs, just take them out straight. Reach down, grab the sit bone, pull it back and out. You could even turn the thigh in a little bit. When you do that, you see how on my right leg, my toes are out towards the brick? But on my left leg, the kneecap and the toes are pointing to the sky. That's what I want. So I reach down, I do the same thing to this. Yep, now you can take your hands behind to help hold you up a little bit, right? It'll give you a little more support. Pull the belly and pull the shutters closed. Then if you want to play, the arms go up. Yep, pull the belly and the shutters. Yep, maybe start to look up. Fire in the legs, from your feet up your legs, up through the core. Work that upper back. Work up through the crown of the head, work up out of the fingertips. One more breath. And then exhale, hands in front. Spin around all fours. Take a breath here, step back to plank. And then back to downward dog. And roll to the outside of the right foot, stack the left foot on top or in front, come into side plank. So I want to turn the bicep forward to root into the upper back. I want to push out of the big toe mounds to charge up in the legs. Now bring your left hip forward, try to stack it up on top of your right. Woo. Maybe start to look up and breathe. Nice, y'all. Inhale, come back to center, plank, push back, downward dog. I'll show you the back side on this with the shoulder. Roll to the outside of the left foot, inside of the right. So see here, as I turn the bicep forward, that roots me into my upper back. That's the friends in the game. And I push out of the big toe mounds. Maybe I try to bring this right hip forward just a little bit to stack up on top of the left, which makes these obliques really have to work. Then maybe I start to look up. Yep, and then breathe. One more breath. Inhale, come back to plank. Push back, downward dog. Keep pushing back. Feel that work happening in the upper back. Feel downward dog getting easier. Look forward, bend your knees, step or jump between your hands, swing your arms up, take a big reach. Belly's in, sit bones down, reach up. Maybe curl back. Inhale, come up. Exhale, hands in front. Nice, y'all. Grab your mats, find a spot on the wall. We'll go upside down. If you're at home and you don't have the wall to kick up on, you can always lay on your back. And then we go knees bent. Interlace your hands behind your thigh as you reach that heel to the sky. Take a bunch of breaths. And then you can swap into side two. If you're at home or in the studio, it's not your day to invert. You're always welcome to go legs up the wall or do a pose that feels good to you, okay? I'm going to talk everyone through downward dog and L pose. We only show you L pose before handstand because it's less ass overhead, not because it's easier. L pose is actually more challenging, especially in the upper back. So if you want to play with the upper back some more today, L pose is going to be like that edge, right? Now, some of you are going to want to go further. You could do hollow back, okay? So if you can do, are you going to do hollow back? You usually do that. So if you're going to do hollow back, when we get going, Beck's going to do it, you can look and see what's going on, okay? With hollow back. The distance is about 2 hands from the wall, right? So we line the 2 hands up. Now, she does a very good hollow back. I would be like a hand and a half, okay? And then we kick up to the wall whenever we're ready, right? We take our time. Now watch when the hips go back to the wall. Look where it's happening in the thoracic spine. Look at the lumbar spine. There's a nice crease at the hip, right? So we know we're neutral pelvis. Look at the lumbar, nice and filled in, but look like behind the shoulder blades. That's where the big back bend's happening. And then you stay as long as you want. Now, when you come out of this, real strong. Yeah, look how strong that was coming out, right? Because what's going to happen, there's that like point where like you got to pull this in. Otherwise, you're going to be trying to come out of that in this back bend. And you know that's always a little bit like tricky. So be conscious coming in and out, right? That's awesome. Okay, so if you're gonna go on your own, go on your own. If you're gonna stick with me, all fours, hands and knees, feet are touching the wall. So we're in that low mountain where we started at today. And we take a couple breaths. And when you're ready, lift the knees and the hips, come to a short downward dog. Then if you step 1 foot up the wall and the second foot up the wall, with the knees bent, will be downward dog inverted. With the legs straight, will be elbows. Now, everybody, downward dog and elbows, you want to keep your chest coming towards the wall with your feet. So they're working, your chest is working towards your toes, not forward in front of you. Yeah, Catherine, nice. Nice, y'all. Some of you take the one leg up in L pose. Be careful not to go too far. You'll feel that if you take the one leg too far, you'll lose the belly button, right? That's hyperextension in the hip there. And as the leg goes back, right? Like here. So like this is extension, you're good to about here. Once this happens, look what happens. See my belly go forward? Because this is hyperextension of the joints, too far. So I gotta make sure that I'm doing this and holding this space. So when I lift my leg up, I just want it to go like a split like this as compared to this. Right? Because that's gonna shoot my belly forward. And then I'm upside down, right? So now I'm in a tough position. So stay here, play around. You still got another minute or so. Take your time. Yep, if you're inverted out, you can go legs up the wall or just whatever feels good to you.
Stay with your breath. Keep breathing. It's easy to hold your breath in these poses. Keep breathing. You breathing lets your mind and your body know, I'm good. Because if I wasn't good, I wouldn't be breathing, right? Or I'd be holding my breath. Or I'd be hyperventilating, right? Here, I'm just breathing smooth.
And when you're ready, take your time. We'll meet on our backs. So I tried to work the upper back with y'all today from like a pretty accessible place, right? I tried to do some core with y'all, some of those more like controlled back bends where we could really feel. So I've said to y'all before, when I need my deepest back bend, and I don't mean just like physically, I mean like heart, mind, and body, deepest back bend. It's supported bridge, right? That's where I'm gonna get the most support, which is gonna give me the most freedom and opening. So if you wanna play with that, we tend to go low and medium. I know some of you go high. I go high with the block. It would look like this. So I'm gonna take the block and I'm gonna put it at my sacrum. So that's gonna be the top of my pelvis, where my crack is too low, where my lumbar spine too high. I wanna be at that solid part. But look what happens here. Now my pelvis holds neutral, so my lumbar spine is nice and safe, and I can really work that thoracic spine. So I've been saying to you over the past couple weeks, you gotta think of like your tools as you progressing your practice. To me right now, this is a progression to my practice. I am in a great back bend, it feels awesome, and I could really work through the pose. It'd be a lot more challenging if I didn't have the block, right? So you could use the block if you want to. If you want to work from bridge, first I'm gonna talk you from the floor to bridge, and then I'm gonna talk you into wheel on the second one, right? So you'll have a couple options. But if you wanna stay with supported bridge the whole time, stay with it. If you wanna do 1 and 1, or a bridge and a wheel, 2 wheels, whatever feels good to you, all right? So we're gonna start from bridge. We're gonna start on our backs, knees are bent, feet are on the floor, and I can feel my heels with my fingertips. That lets me know my knees are stacked up on top of my ankles. Head and shoulders are back, sacrum is flat. So belly button to spine, sit bones towards your heels a little bit. You could even robot your arms for a little more support. Take a breath, and as you charge the legs, pull that energy up through the core, head and shoulders back, slowly lift the hips, come to bridge. Here, the belly button's in, the sit bones are now lengthening to the backs of the knees. That's how you feel the lumbar spine nice and safe. Now take the shoulders under a little deeper and feel where that happens in the thoracic spine, that middle upper back. Then the knees can reach forward, the upper palate can reach back, the throat will open up. And then stay engaged as you lower down. See if you get your sacrum to land flat. I ask y'all to do that all the time. And then take the feet wide, let the knees touch, hands to cactus or field goal. What wants to happen as you lower down? Your belly button wants to fly to the sky, your sit bones want to try to fly up towards your shoulders, and you land with a big well in your back, right? With a unneutral pelvis. If you try to hold it on the way down, right, we're going to be able to control that space a little more. Come on, let's try again. Inhale, open the knees, reset the feet. This time I'll talk you into wheel. So set it up. Charge the legs. Pull it up through the upper trunk with the head and the shoulders back. When you're ready, lift the hips. Come to wheel, come to bridge. If you're going to go into wheel, place your hands wide to the edges of your mat, like you could feel the edges of your mat. And you're going to plug your shoulders back. You plug your shoulders back, you're getting that good integration. Now keep those legs fiery. When you're ready, push down to come up. You could even pump your heart towards that wall you're looking at. Feel those arms slide a little deeper on the back. And then stay engaged as you lower down. See if you get that sacrum to land flat. Yeah, that's a challenge. And then the feet wide, the knees touch, hands to cactus or field goal. Then open the knees and just windshield wiper side to side. When you balance both sides out, come to neutral. Hug those knees into your chest. Give yourself that little hug or make those little small circles, whatever feels good. All right, we'll get a little dynamic here. So take the block, if you like, and put it between your thighs like this with your knees bent. If you want to go without the block, no problem. You'd be like this. Now I'm trying to make 90-degree angles, so from my feet to my shins, so my shins are parallel with the floor. My thighs, all right, my upper trunk. Now from here, I could take my hands out to the side to give me a little more support. If they were closer, they'd be a little more challenging. Let your knees gently start to fall to the right. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, let them fall to the left. Inhale, come back up. Let's keep going here. Keep the heels sweeping away from each other. They're going to try to touch at the midline. Don't let them. Keep hugging in on the block. Keep hugging your knees to your chest so your legs aren't straightening. You're keeping that like half flexion in the hip. And stay with your breath. So now we're working a little more dynamic or active twist here. Letting the muscles move through their full range of motion. A little bit different than we've done with some of them so far. Now let's do one more each side. If you started on the right, finish on the left. Working that upper back. And then as you finish, come to neutral, release the block. Take the legs out straight, reach the arms up overhead, take a big stretch, a big reach here. Spread the fingers, spread the toes. Hug the right knee to your chest. Interlace the hands behind the thigh, reach the heel to the sky. Keep the back of your left thigh rooting to the floor. So if I pull my leg up too high, it's going to pull my back thigh up. So I want to bring my right heel to the floor a little bit. My left thigh is going to root. Then when I root my left thigh, I try to then go a little deeper in the split on the right leg. Bend the knee, lower down, the right leg goes out, the left knee hugs in. Interlace the hands behind the thigh as you reach the heel to the sky. So to remember, to help make that a little more accessible, bring your left heel towards the floor a little bit. You'll feel the back of your right thigh root, pull the belly to the spine, then start to take the leg maybe up a little higher to the sky and keep drawing the fingers down the back of the leg. Then exhale, release. Take both legs out, take the arms up overhead, take a big stretch. And hug the knees to your chest. And take the knees nice and wide here. Come to happy baby. Ananda Balasana. Same thing here, neutral pelvis. This wants to happen. Now I'm rolling into my lumbar, right? Especially if I try to hold my toes. So I just let go of my toes. I hold the outsides of my legs. That way I can take my knees real wide here so they're wider than my shoulders. And then as I start to draw my knees towards my ears, I feel a nice stretch in the inside of the thighs, in the back of the hip. Maybe I rock side to side, or I reach one leg out or both legs out, whatever feels good. And when you're ready, inhale the knees to center, exhale the legs out straight. We'll take Shavasana. Beautiful practice, crew. Feel free to add or remove layers or props. I'll talk everyone through laying flat. You're more than welcome to do a variation. And here as we lay back, we let the legs stretch out. We let the feet gently roll open. We let the arms come along the sides. And as we take the shoulders back, we let that open palm turn to the sky. Maybe we let our eyes close and we allow the tongue to soften from the roof of the mouth. We let the body get heavy. We let the mind soften as it turns back to the breath. We let the heart open as it gets ready to move the practice from the mat to the yoga of life. And just like on the mat, in the yoga of life, we practice. We're not perfect at it. There's no instruction manual. We breathe, we live, we learn. We grow. So no matter what the situation is, we take a breath. We set a foundation, we engage. We express the best that we can in that moment. And with each breath, a new moment, another opportunity. Begin here to draw in a deeper breath. Feel the breath washing over the body, your toes, your fingers, the crown of your head, your heart. We reawaken a better version of ourselves. Let the fingers and the toes wiggle. Let the arms and the legs stretch or reach. Move in a way that feels good to you. Taking your time, moving slowly, consciously. You're ready, you can hug your knees to your chest and just roll to the right side. Just take your hands underneath your head and just take a breath or two here as you reacclimate. Moving slowly, and when you're ready, you can push yourself up. We'll meet together with our eyes closed and our hands in front of our hearts. In Anjali Mudra. Sitting up tall. Feeling the reward for all that work. It's a little easier to hold this space. And one time together to initiate our to seal in our practice. Together the sound of Om. All together, deep breath in. Beautiful. As we softly bow our head to our hearts, our heads to each other's hearts. For all of that hard work, that determination, that challenge, the love and the support you always give each other, it's to you that I bow. Namaste. Good job. Beautiful practice, y'all. You know, if you have any questions or anything, grab me before you go, home crew. You know if you need me. Like I said to Sarah last time we did upper backs, before you go onto your phone looking at Patrick Mahomes is a cheater videos all day, make sure you're sitting up tall like this when you're watching that. It's true, but put it out here, all right, when you're gonna watch it. All right, y'all, be good. I'll see you soon.